Emil Taussig was a first-class passenger of the RMS Titanic when it sank on its maiden voyage on April 15, 1912. Emil is believed to have been born in Eisenbrod, Bohemia, which is in the Czech Republic, on the 20th of June, 1857. He was the son of Solomon Joseph Taussig and Rosie Pick. They were Jewish, and he spent his childhood in Bohemia and/or Vienna. He had two siblings, Annie and Jenny. His mother died when Emil was very young, and his father was remarried around 1863 to Charlotte Bundig. From their marriage, Emil gained 6 half-siblings: Rosa, Olga, Otto, Maximilian, Jacob, and Flora. In 1866, they immigrated to Manhattan from Hamburg aboard the SS Germania on the 14th of January. Solomon had become a naturalized citizen in 1875. They all appeared on the 1880 census in Manhattan, and Emil, at the age of 23, was described as a store clerk. Sometime around then, he became the president of the West Disinfecting Company of Buffalo, New York. His 1912 passport described Emil as standing at 5'7.5", with brown hair, a fair complexion, and an oval face. He was married on the 18th of January, 1883, to Ruth Mandelbaum, who was born in 1862. She was the daughter of a New York tobacco merchant. Their only child, a daughter named Mary, was born towards the end of 1883. They appeared on the 1900 census as residents of 1335 Madison Avenue, Manhattan, and Emil was described as a disinfectant manufacturer. In 1903, Mary had wed to John Davis Weller, and in 1904 they had 2 children, Tillie and Millie. By the 1910 census, Emil was still one of the residents of Madison Avenue, later living at 777 West Avenue by 1912. Around this time, Emil wrote of the dangers of the shipping safety. He wrote that it will certainly be calamitous if at the next disaster which may occur, any of the passengers have lost their lives simply because there were not enough lifeboats for them to get into. That is a responsibility that nobody would be willing to shoulder. In lieu of all these matters brought before you in your experience in the service, is the board willing to take the responsibility that in case of an incident to the vessel, that a large number of people lose their lives due to the fact that there were lifeboats carried by the ship to only save a small portion of passengers? Do you want to take the responsibility in view of the added facilities in the direction of enabling steamships to carry a sufficient number of lifeboats to enable anyone to say these people lost their lives, owing to the fact that the Board of Steamship Supervising Inspectors did not prescribe or compel steamships to carry more boats? Just as sure as you are living, and just as sure as there is a sun above us, this thing will come to pass sooner or later, unless the rules are amended compelling steamships to carry more boats. Emil did not know how right he truly was. In 1912, they went on vacation to Vienna. Following this, they needed to get back home, so Emil, joined by Ruth, Mary, Tillie, and Millie, boarded the Titanic at Southampton as first-class passengers. Their ticket cost 79 euros. Emil and one of his granddaughters occupied the cabin E67, while across the hall, his wife, his daughter, and the other granddaughter were in E69. Their cabin was located on the starboard side of E-deck, which could be second or first class depending on the amount of passengers on board during the voyage. For example, during the Titanic's voyage, there was more first-class passengers than second-class passengers, so the cabins were changed to be first-class suitable. On the night of the sinking, the German steward Alfred Thesiger woke up the Taussigs, told them, "You had better put off your lifebelts and rush on deck." Mr. Taussig, reportedly shaking with fear, asked if it was as serious as all that, and Thesiger told him to hurry. After this, Emil reportedly wore a fur coat and a top hat before escorting his family to lifeboat number 8 on the port side. He was not allowed to join the lifeboat because the Charles Lighthall, the officer in charge of it, would not allow any men into lifeboats, sometimes undermanning them. Despite the pleas of his family, he did not join them in the lifeboat. It is reported that he might have been standing near Isidor Strauss, who had just refused to enter the lifeboat when it was lowering away. Isidor Strauss was also Jewish. Emil was not seen for a long time until until about 1:25 a.m. Colonel Archibald Gracie IV had entered the smoking room of first class. Among other people, Emil was sitting alone and unresponsive in one of the benches, hands cupped in his lap, contemplating things. He seemed a little bit thoughtful, catatonic, remorseful, definitely unresponsive, as Mr. Gracie asked if Taussig was going to go for it. He seemed to accept his fate, sitting there. By 1:50 a.m., as the ship began to go into the stages of its final plunge, Emil Taussig had recovered from this state and was seen on the boat deck near Collapsible D, which was the last lifeboat remaining. It was being loaded up with the final remaining women and children, and he was ushering the final reluctant women into the boat, giving one of them a blanket so that she would not catch a death of cold and keep warm. He then stepped back, watching the boat lower into the water without him, only 8 feet below. He remained up on the port side of the ship, standing near the empty lifeboat davits of Lifeboat 8, where his family had just left. According to some accounts, around this time he took a smoke with 3 other men, John Jacob Astor IV, Archibald W. Butt, and Jacques Futrell. What we do know is that by the time the Charles Lighthauler noted that there was water on the deck, Emil Taussig was already gone, and he was never seen again. He died during the sinking. The West Disinfecting Company later issued a notice in their paper that Mr. Taussig had died. Although mostly forgotten by pop culture, Emil has made his sudden resurgence in the year 2023. First, after his fandom page appeared. Second, after the Roblox Titanic reimagined film by Mr. Apple released, with Emil Taussig being a prominent character. And third, after a clickbait video featured Emil Taussig at the end, in stunning accuracy. While Emil Taussig is definitely not one of the famous faces aboard, he is one of my favorites to talk about, even if there's not that much information on him.